I was standing in my sister's old kitchen, holding a box of her things, and my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Not from the boxes, from him. 3 feet away, folding a blanket like it still mattered how neat the corners were. Neither of us had said his name in 2 years. Now he was saying mine like it still belonged to him. I set the box down before I dropped it. He didn't move closer. He didn't have to. What do you do when the person your sister warned you about is the only one who's ever really looked at you? If a story like that has ever found its way into your life, stay with me. And if it does, consider liking and subscribing. It helps stories like this reach the people who need them. Let's go back to where it actually started. My sister Rachel and I were never close in the easy way people assume sisters are. She was the older one, the sharper one, the one who filled every room the second she walked into it. I was the one people remembered second, if at all. I didn't resent her for it. I just learned early to take up less space. When she brought Daniel home 8 years ago, I remember thinking he didn't fit the mold of the men she usually chose, loud, ambitious, allergic to stillness. Daniel was quiet in a way that made you quiet too. He noticed things. He noticed me. Actually, in small ways nobody else bothered with. That I took my coffee black. That I always left family dinners early because the noise wore me down. That I flinched when Rachel teased me in front of people. Rachel and Daniel were together for 6 years. I built a life alongside their life the way you do. Barbecues, holidays, the two of them a fixed point on the calendar. I got married during that time, too, to a man named Peter, sturdy and kind and utterly unremarkable in the ways that never bothered me until they suddenly did. My marriage was fine. That word, fine, carried more weight than it should have. Daniel and Rachel ended 2 years ago. Badly. The way things end when two people spent years disappointing each other quietly instead of loudly. I stayed out of it. That was the rule I gave myself. He was hers, even in the wreckage, even after. The first time I saw him afterward, it was at our father's birthday, nearly a year post-breakup. Rachel wasn't there. She'd moved to Denver by then, was dating someone new, had made her peace or at least a performance of peace. Daniel came because our father had asked him to, because 8 years makes a man family whether the paperwork says so or not. He found me on the back porch, away from the noise, exactly where I always ended up. You still hate crowds, he said, not a question. I told him some things don't change. He sat down next to me, not too close, and for 20 minutes we talked about nothing. His new apartment, my job, the weather, and I told myself the reason my chest felt tight was the wine. Months later, my father's health took a turn, and Daniel started showing up to help with the house. The way people do for family, they can't quite let go of. I saw him more that spring than I'd seen him in the last year of his relationship with my sister. He fixed the porch light. He drove my father to appointments Peter was too busy for. Once, helping me carry groceries in from the car, his hand closed over mine on the same bag handle, and neither of us moved for a full 3 seconds before he laughed it off and said something about efficiency. I laughed too. I told myself it meant nothing. I was good, by then, at telling myself things meant nothing. There was an afternoon in early summer when I found him in my father's garage, going through old boxes of tools nobody used anymore. I brought him a glass of water he hadn't asked for. He looked at me too long before he took it. You always show up right when I need something, he said. I said it was coincidence. He said he didn't believe much in that word anymore. I left before the silence could turn into something neither of us could take back. I told Peter that night I was tired. It wasn't a lie. It just wasn't the whole truth either. Then came the day I couldn't explain away as easily. Rachel had asked me to clear out the last of her things from our father's garage, an errand she'd never get to herself from 3 states away. And Daniel, without being asked, showed up to help carry the heavier boxes. It should have taken 20 minutes. We were an hour in, dusting the light through the small window, both of us quiet in a particular way that means everything is being said without a single word. I handed him a box of her old things, photographs, mostly some of the 3 of us together, years ago. Before any of this, he looked at one for a long moment, then set it down and looked at me instead. I keep waiting for this to feel wrong, he said. I told him it should. He said he knew. Neither of us moved. I should have told him to leave. I should have carried the last box out myself and closed the door behind him. Instead, I stood there in the dust and the light and let the silence stretch until it became its own kind of answer. His hand found mine again, the way that over the grocery bag. Except this time neither of us laughed it away. I felt my pulse in my throat, that particular kind of fear that isn't really fear at all. Just your body catching up to a decision your heart made a long time ago. I should go. I said, not moving. You keep saying that, he said, and you keep not going. I hated that he was right. I hated more that some small star part of me had been waiting months to hear him say it out loud. He stepped closer, slow, giving me every chance to step back. I didn't take it. His hand came up to my face, hesitant, like he still expected me to flinch away the way I'd flinched from Rachel's teasing all those years ago. I didn't flinch. I leaned into it instead, into the warmth of a hand that had once belonged in some circling, complicated way to someone I loved. This is going to break something. I whispered. It already did, he said. A while ago. We just didn't say it yet. When he kissed me, it wasn't hurried. It was the kind of kiss that has been waiting so long, it doesn't need to rush anymore. I didn't think about Peter. I didn't think about Rachel. I thought, for the first time in longer than I could remember, about myself. About being someone's answer instead of someone's afterthought. The garage light buzzed overhead. Somewhere outside a dog barked twice and went quiet. Nothing about it was cinematic. It was dusty and awkward and real. And when we finally pulled apart, neither of us said anything for a long moment, because there was nothing left that wouldn't make it more true than it already was. I drove home with a box of Rachel's photographs still in the trunk, untouched, and sat in my driveway for 10 minutes before I could make myself go inside. Peter asked if everything was all right. I said I was just tired from the garage. It wasn't a lie. It just wasn't the truth either, and I was starting to understand those were two very different things. I didn't call Daniel, and he didn't call me. Not at first, and the not calling felt louder than any conversation could have. I saw Rachel's name light up my phone one afternoon, a normal text about our father's follow-up appointment, and I stared at it for a full minute before I could bring myself to answer. Guilt has a particular weight when it isn't about a single act, but about a name, a history, a person who used to trust you completely. I stopped answering Daniel's text about the garage boxes, then started again, then let the messages sit unread for hours at a time, as if distance could undo an afternoon that had already happened. Peter, and I kept moving through our routine, dinner, dishes, the low hum of marriage that had been fine for so long I'd forgotten what more than fine might feel like. I caught myself some nights, standing at the kitchen sink and thinking about dust and light and a hand on my face, and hating how much I didn't regret it the way I was supposed to. Rachel doesn't know. I don't know if she ever will. Some days I tell myself that not telling is a kindness. Other days I know it's just cowardice wearing kindness as a disguise. Daniel, and I haven't spoken since the day in the kitchen with a box between us. Both of us folding blankets that didn't need folding. Both of us waiting for the other to say something that would make it simple. Neither of us did. He left. Eventually, the way people do when staying would force a decision neither of you is ready to make. I stood in Rachel's old kitchen a long while after he'd gone, and I thought about how strange it is that the people who see us most clearly are so rarely the ones we're allowed to keep.